we're live.
We're live.
We're live. All right,
no
guys.
delay.
No delay. We are in the Virgin Islands. You guys know who this is. Mr. Bill Perkins, fresh off 50, just kind of blew it out through a one-off, once-in-a-lifetime experience of a party. So, Bill, how's it feel to be, first of all, be 50? How's it feel to have so many loved ones, friends, people celebrate that? How was that? How was that for you?
It's kind of bittersweet being 50, you know? It's kind of like, it's great. I made it, you know? I didn't die. I'm in a good spot. I've had a great ride, you know, lots of ups and downs. And that feels great, but it's also kind of bittersweet. Like you know, you reflect on a lot of errors in your life that have passed, gone. Right. People that come in and out of your life, things that you would probably do differently. You know, things that you know, most of my regrets are things that where I've hurt people or I would like to change those type of mistakes. Yeah, that type of thing. But it's awesome. And then having, you know, friends and loved ones around and like being able to share a memory and experience with them at a like kind of a milestone in your life, that's just awesome. Yeah, it's really great.
I want to ask, I guess this is well, first of all, Bill has been on Joey's podcast. Obviously Bill has, you know, you've seen Bill on a lot of different platforms. You kind of have an idea about, you know, I'm sure you've gone on this a lot. Like you talk about where you grew up and like how you're kind of up to this point. So I want to focus more on the book coming up. I think this is a good sort of segue to get right into it, because I guess like, you know, I'm 32 years old. Bill is, you just like we mentioned, 50. A lot of our viewers at home, a lot of the, you know, 24 to 30 year old range. I think that's sort of like your book, sort of segues and talks into about that. Like, what would you, before we get in the book, what would you say like your advice to be someone who's like in that 25 to 35, even 40 range, leading up? Like, what would be something that you're like, wow, like, you know, could you share an experience or an example of maybe what you would do differently, or how you might say to someone, well, you know, you're not thinking about this right now, and it would be cool to think about this? Like, is there any kind of
well, I think like a lot of my earlier years were on autopilot as opposed to like really thinking about what I wanted and doing my best in that area. And so I had a lot of fun experiences that naturally fit into what I want, but there was a lot of things that I missed out on by like not taking a breather and thinking, okay, what do I want? What do I want to explore? What do I want to do? It's just kind of like rush, you know, club, party, spend money just to spend money without being like, hey, how can I get the most out of this this ride, this life, that what I'm trying to do, you know? So there were some things that were deliberate and they were on point, and there were a lot of things that were just kind of like, I don't know, like a leaf in water, just getting swashed around and winding up wherever I wound up.
So so the book, you got the book coming out. What prompted you one day? Did you always know you wanted to write a book? What made you say this is the right time right now? Was it having to do with turning 50 that kind of you're coming up to it, you were like, man, this would be a good point to sort of dive in? Or what was like, how did this come about?
So the book's called Die With Zero, and it's a concept, like I've been having like debates with friends about like life optimization. Mm-hmm. And you know, it starts with, you know, you if you go to work and exchange hours of your life to earn money, and the purpose of earning money is like food, shelter, clothing, but after that point it's to like do other stuff. Like you're not going to work just for Space Invaders and getting the money for, you know, not to spend it, right?
What do you mean? So, when you say Space Invaders, I mean just because what are you holding on?
Yeah, it's not like you get high score on a game and then leave the high score in a game, and like that's the point. Like that's not life. Like the money is there for you to consume experiences, right? The first experience is like food, shelter, health, right? But after that, it's other experiences that you can purchase, and it's, you know, it's the exchange for other people's life energy. You know, the cook, the chef, the airline pilot, the doctor, the whatever. And so, you know, that concept came to me as like, wow. So if I go to work and I earn money and I don't spend it, I basically wasted hours of my life to the extent that I'm working for money to have other experiences. And so, you know, what that concept is like, you know, when you're 1 year old, $1 million doesn't really mean anything to you. You can't really consume it. Those experiences, they become, you know, they're not valuable to you, or you're unable to convert the money into experiences. Okay. The same thing happens at the tail end of your life mainly due to health, your physical health and your mental health. Your ability to convert that money into experiences declines with age after a certain age. Mm-hmm. Generally, that would be probably around 35, but it depends on who you are, et cetera. And so, there's, with those like axioms, you know, there's a lot of implications about spending, when you spend, you know, your life path, and optimizing your life, and how you give, your charitable giving, when you give money to your kids. All these things come out of those concepts. And so for years I've been talking about it with friends, and we would just kind of be like, oh wow, I got to spend more money. I need to think of things to do. Like we would like force ourselves to get off the habit of like earning and grinding to like converting into experiences, because it's like, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to go wave running 10 years from now when I'm 60? Probably not. Like I have a degenerative back disease from playing football. I have all kinds of things that I'm a little concerned, like doing certain trips. Like I went wakeboarding when we went to Necker Island, and I was like, wow, should I wakeboard? Like I could really throw out my back. I was like, no, I'm still at the age. It's not like I'm gonna do it 10 years from now. Let me do it now and get this experience. And so the book's kind of about that. It's about experiences, and a lot of people say, oh, it's about people with money. But even if you don't have any money, like let's just say it's nothing. Like you have like the minimum thing, and all your things are going to be free. Yeah. You have to order your experiences in order to get the most experiences and the most enjoyment. Like you're not gonna go climb Kilimanjaro when you're 5, and you're most likely not gonna do it when you're 75 and 80. Right. So there's activities have seasons for you based on your health, your age, etc. Even if you have no money. And so life is like Tetris, like, you don't get married when you're 15, and if you're going to have kids, you're not going to be doing this, and etc. So you want to get the ordering right in order to get the maximum out of life. And it's according to your own goals, etc. It's like, if I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to climb Kilimanjaro, I want to ski 200 times, etc. There's going to be periods in your life when this should be done in order for you to get the most of all these experiences. And I'm trying to get you the most positive life experiences.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting, because this is something that makes a lot of sense, but you don't really, like you said, you don't really stop to think about that much. Even now, I have a baby come in, and it's like, well, instantly there's already like, oh, well, this will be different, or I'm not doing this year. Like now, this is not going to be as easy, and I think that's something you don't really think about as like it just without really like taking time. It's just easy to just sort of let things like happen without even having a mapping. So super interesting. What's the time for, how far have you written the whole book? I know you had a lot of it. It's done.
No, it's not done. It's a lot of, I'm actually in a chapter called Balance Your Life. Just getting that done with my ghostwriter we're talking to. We have interviews. We have actually a conversation later on this afternoon about Balance Your Life and the things that are supposed to go in there and how it's written. Like I'll occasionally write some stuff. But hopefully by October, final manuscript will be done. Where's the chat? I'm looking at the chat.
We just got going. We got 30 people in here, guys. We will be just having a conversation, but if you have anything you want to jump in or say hello or a specific question, you could do that anytime. We also have an Instagram swipe up and a Twitter where you guys, let me just real quick show
Bill. Nobody has any questions.
No, there's a lot of questions. I actually just put up here's Bill's, we got his Instagram, Twitter, BP22. ThirstLounge, well, I guess we could talk about that next, but they have a Twitch channel, which the 6 of the members are down here, 10 of a team of 10. Bill will be, I guess, 11. Technically, it's his network, his show. He'll be doing that as well. And we did get a tweet out. If you guys could retweet that, will help right now. But yeah, check it out. This is what's going on. We're gonna let's segue over.
So let's go into like that whole, like you said, I'm getting married, I have kids, and like you know. There are certain decisions that, like, I think the economists call them dynamic decisions and static. Like you deciding to eat a candy bar, pretty much a static decision. You getting married is a dynamic decision. And what that means is that decision affects every other decision in your life. And when you have kids, which, people who have kids know out there, that it changes everything. There are so many other decisions that you're making at that time to have kids that maybe 5 years down the road, but you've already made that decision. And, I use examples like, hey, I'm here with friends, but I got to fly home because I got to catch my daughter's soccer game. And they're like, oh, you got to make that decision. I was like, that decision actually was made 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it, but it was made 12 years ago when I decided to have a kid. Like, this was always going to be a priority. Yeah. They were actually going to go into sports or something, and there will be a time where I will be doing something fun with my friends, but I'm going to have to zip it short so that I show up for my daughter, enjoy watching her, but also show up that she sees me there. And so, the book is also about those dynamic decisions and like ordering them properly so you get the most out of your life.
Super, super interesting. I'm definitely, obviously, we're going to read it. I'm sure you guys got to put that down. Well, as soon as there's an actual launch date or what, we'll let you know. And I'm sure there'll be, again, the Thirst Lounge, there'll be some giveaways and such on the book. We'll, that'll be a definite one. Speaking of the Thirst Lounge 10, we're here. The Thirst Lounge members came yesterday, 6 of the 10. This is a very interesting, unique project. I think it speaks a lot about who you are just in general, like how you do it. You kind of just like, you're not worried about every little nitty gritty detail. You're just kind of like, you know what, I want to do this. Let's do this. This was an evolving project. It went from Bill having a channel that was once in a while being streamed on, and two, all right, let's make it a network, because you basically were like, I'm not here enough, I want to do this, but it's not my main priority. Like, this is a hobby for you. Like, we like talk just a hobby or not
just
a hobby.
This
is just a hobby. So, like the thing about the Thirst Lounge 10 is it was going to be one person, and then it was going to be 3 or 5. Then I was like, you know what, let's just call it the TL10, which just has a nice, what's the word, alliteration to it with the Thirst Lounge 10. And how did this project, how did this come up? Why is this important to you? What would you define as a success for this project? So 1 year, kind of, I guess, run, trial, we're in pilot mode, literally, right now, launching Valentine's Day, February 14th.
Right.
And, what do you see, how do you envision this project going? What would make this successful when it's all said and done with Thirst Lounge 10 or Thirst Lounge 10, the Big 10? There could be 12, there could be 8. This is a base point, and it doesn't mean that it's 10 always. So what does this mean for you, this project, and how do you see it envisioning going?
Well, we started Thirst Lounge and started streaming. You got me into streaming. I enjoyed it. I had fun doing it. You're you just credit.
Guilty or not guilty,
But what the difference about Twitch is that it's about the chat and it's about a community. And so you develop, people come to rely on you to show up and do your thing because they've invested their time. They want you to invest your time back, show up, entertain, talk, play cards, do whatever it is you do on your show. And what I found is the other decisions I've made in my life and obligations really cut into that for me regularly, streaming on the regular.
There's only so much bandwidth.
Yeah, there's only so much bandwidth, and so I was like, I can't really give the people what they deserve, for the channel. But what I could do is create a platform, that we already have the Thirst Lounge set up, the name, the subs, the followers, and bring in some young, charismatic, not necessarily young, but charismatic people, energetic people who could be hosts, and give them the consistent content that they want, consistent with the Thirst Lounge theme. And so I put that burden on you and Jamie to go out and run a contest
until he got what he wanted. Now that he likes the 10, he likes where it's going. It's Bill's getting a little more in there, but this is Bill's show. This is his network. Jamie and I just sort of helped run the initial talent search to get kind of who we thought would be good, and then
we got some people who felt the value proposition was there for them to come. They were getting a 10K stake, housing, use of the boat to stream, etc., and just kind of a lot of people like the lifestyle, or they want to get into Twitch, or they want to do etc., and they were like, okay, we'll go and run and grow with you. And so that took off, and then it's been a good response, and we now have I now have a sponsor who's come in and wants to up the stake by giving them tickets on tournament tickets, another 10K.
There's a whole, this thing's growing pretty quickly.
So they're up to a 20K stake right off the bat. We got the house sponsored. We're going to announce that out. So we have a sponsorship for the house. People kind of, believe in the concept, my ability to execute, our ability to bring in talent that's going to, deliver, and I believe we will.
You will.
I think it'll be a lot of fun.
It's a great group. I think it's fun. This is, to me, it feels a little almost like Big Brother-ish, where it's you're going to put people together. It's a big project. It's exciting. It's unknown. You don't know. It's there's a lot of variables.
You don't know. The main thing you don't know is we definitely have personalities. We definitely have charismatic people, etc. We just don't know what their work ethic is going to be in order to take advantage of those opportunities. And I hope they will take advantage of it and take it seriously. I've done this a lot of times with other people in different jobs and different positions, etc. And they kind of, they're kind of always not really taking fully advantage of what the opportunity set is in front of them, and not doing their share in their work ethic to make it happen, and always looking up to someone to handle it for them. I don't think we have that group. I think we have the group that's actually going to take the ball and run. Pass the baton, and then they're actually going to do it. But you never know. That's the only unknown right there. No, it's going to be fun. We're all going to.
It's unknown how. There's going to be a lot of content. It's unknown who's because there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and there's going to be a lot of people. I think what's going to happen is there will be a dynamic where it's a few of the people just don't ever want to stop. Who knows? At some point, TL10 might just be running all the time because it's guys are just once they get the hunger. The Twitch, it's so fun. It's so much engagement with chat and the whole thing. It's going to be a point where people are man, I like this. I want to be more. I want to be in more. And so it's going to be cool. I think
at a minimum, though, all of them are going to have a good time. I mean, you're in the Virgin Islands. People work, 50 weeks a year to spend 2 weeks here, and we're going to get married, and it's like a dream vacation, and then they get to come here, stream, hang out,
There's
explore, etc. And it's going to be fun for the audience.
The boat's unbelievable. You got a captain crew. It's a good
good spot for them, and it's also good for the audience because the audience is going to see the Virgin Islands through their eyes. You know what I mean? And their adventure, right? Like it's different seeing it through my eyes, right? Like I've been here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little bit more salty, or maybe I'm a little bit more casual about it. These guys are actually, sometimes when you live in a town or a city, you don't really take advantage of it. Like there's a lot of people in New York City never been to top of the Empire State or the Statue of Liberty,
you go to a poker
or this club, or
and you go see in these Barcelona or Bahama, these places, and you just play the tournaments. You don't get to actually enjoy it. Like that's what's cool about having 10. You're gonna have people streaming. There's gonna be other auxiliary content and peripheral stuff going on.
Right, that they will actually go to and be like, hey, I want to check out this cool spot, and I'm like, I've never gone here. I've been here for 5 years. You know what I mean? Because they're looking to
things differently. It sparks something. So I think the thing I've learned the most about Bill, and what I think, again, I want you to let you just make this your podcast, but what I learned about you is diving in. Like the same thing with Twitch or this project. Like this is a mess, but it's a great mess. You just said, you know what, let's do it. You got people, you have tools to help it go, and you're just going. As it was going to be 1, now it's 3, now it's 10 people, now they're here. Yeah. How does this work? How does that work? You don't know. We don't know how it's going to go, but you just dive in. You say, here, let's just go for it. Let's start, and then things happen. Like that would be I say not in my advice. The thing I learned most from Bill and from 2012 on when I met Bill was play big, take risks, go for things. Play a big game. Go take a shot. What are you going to wait for? You're going to wait. It's similar to your book.
Like I'm 50. Zero. Like what am I going to do? Like you know what I mean? I don't have time to incrementally do this. So we're basically we got resources and smart people around to do it, and we'll figure it out. And we can learn and grow together. At a minimum, we're going to have fun giving it the old college try. But I think this is my shot in trying to create a network, a platform in Twitch, and then also all the other media about lifestyle and poker and travel, etc. The whole Thirst Lounge theme. So
what? Let's and then in terms of if say 1 year from now goes by, Thirst Lounge 10. What would in your mind? What metrics or what medium? What would you say that is all right? I'm glad we did this. This is fun. This is exciting. Let's keep it going. Like what's something you're looking at to see if this is what would you define this as a success?
I would say followers and views and just getting the word out, right? So if it grows to 100,000 followers or something like that, I would be very happy. And for first year and take the natural talent that we have and lift them up. So it's less. Obviously. It's less than a monetary goal of what's going on. It's more of let's get this out there and our message out there in a fun channel that people like and a lot of content out there.
Looks like it cut off for a second. I'm not sure. That could be. There's very good internet here, but maybe the steady. I think people are saying it's back on the refresh. Okay, yeah, we cut out for a second. Now we're back. So I just played the video. There's a Thirst Lounge 10. There's a Thirst Lounge Twitter page as well as Thirst Lounge here on Twitch. So if you guys are there right now, you can go ahead and give it a follow on Twitch. And again, this isn't like a project starting from nothing. Bill, you can see here, has 22,200. That's a number for you too, man. You love the 22. Iowa Hawkeye number 22 right here. So it already has a base, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it grows from here. So you kind of mention 100,000 would be sort of a number in your mind that sounds like successful after a year. And I think with that, how much content it's going, there's a very good chance for that to happen.
Yeah, we have a meeting with our team to make sure you put out creative content, make sure your quality of your stream is good, make sure you get out there, be yourself, introduce yourself, make sure you take care of the chat.
Got to take care of the chat. Even here on YouTube, on the podcast, we're doing it. We see you. What we'd like to see on the platform. Yeah, so some guys, we're going to do questions at the end. What up, Matt Staples? Matty Ice knows about Streamboat. He knows about down here in the Virgin Islands. Matty Ice blowing up, just had a big win, 14K score. One of his biggest ones. He knows Bill very well, and he's in the chat. We got some other familiar faces, guys. We'll do some chat shout-outs, but we do have a limited amount of time, so we want to let Bill get in here as much as possible. I want to go over and talk about where is it? Where's my thing here? So this was a couple of pictures where we just show Bill Perkins Instagram, guys. Make sure you give him a follow. He's always posting wild, crazy things. But here I have a couple photos just that stand out. This was the other day at your 50th. One of the more beautiful I mean, just unbelievable setups. But I want to talk about Necker Island for a second here. And Shop, you were playing chess. Richard Branson, Dan Bilzerian, like playing chess. You're hanging out. I mean, it's a pretty ridiculous vibe and feel there. Like it was just like historically like ridiculous. Like on a bucket list. When I heard Necker Island, I was like, oh, that sounds cool. But like they got like 120 people working there. It's like a little island, and it's incredible. What made you want to do your 50th?
You know, the funny thing is that I didn't talk about it. I could have talked about a speech, but like I remember when Necker Island first opened, like when he bought it and it was et cetera. And I looked at like the brochure. It was like this hard book brochure in one of these like luxury challenge places, and I was like, wow, who could ever afford to go here? And like that's a lot. Like, do people really pay it? And like this would be awesome. Maybe you can divide it up amongst 50 people, but it only has 30 rooms at the time.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And I was like, I want to be able to like rent that island and like get to that spot. Right. And so my first time actually going there was for a friend's wedding.
Oh, John, yeah, he was there.
Yeah, John, and I was like, oh yeah.
He mentioned that. He's like, I was here like 10 years ago or 8 years ago on the day or basically.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, I get to go to Necker Island. You know what I mean? On John's dime. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he had his wedding there, etc. But, you know, and St. Bart's had become one of my favorite places. But just the history, and like I read Richard Branson's book about his crazy life, about how he was into promoting his brand, and he was in the record business, and then his battles in the airline business, and how he like first was going to buy an island, but he couldn't afford it, and you know he they kicked him out because he wasn't really serious, and then there was a crash, and then he bought it, and etc. And so to me, it's just kind of surreal being able to hang out there, guy's book you're reading, and now you're playing chess with him, and you've seen him a couple of times, etc. And I wanted to give that. I've already had that experience. So for me, the experience of going to Necker Island was more about my brother, my sister, my friends, you know what I mean, like, and new friends and old friends, being able to see what I've seen and sharing that common experience together. Because, like, you know, for me, life, like the greatest things in life, like, yeah, there's some individual things like meditating and like going out on your own and just absorbing the earth and God's nature and being like, oh, this is great, you know, look at what humanity has built. But like the most memorable experience is for me, and like where I have a big memory dividend that I think back to, is shared common experiences with other people. Yep. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be on Necker Island. It doesn't have to be at these necessarily great places. It might be like you were in the kitchen laughing, and you know snot bubbles came out of your nose, and you were giggling, and you talk about that forever. But that being said, the backdrop of the British Virgin Islands, being on Necker, you know, it's beautiful with staff, etc., and it's just a great environment, and it's a playground. They have like tennis courts and, you know, crazy games you play, and all these different beaches and food all the time, and like seeing those people smile and having that experience and look at them. You know, I was watching people looking around and just marveling, like that gave me a sense of joy, and so like that was a great experience. So
safe to say giving is better than receiving. I think that's like, as a kid you eat Christmas and stuff, and at some point things get less important, where you're just like, yeah, it does feel good. Feels good to give, like, and feel that, because that is, I mean, that's got to just be the ultimate reward.
Yeah.
To see everyone, and even, you know, now with kids, with things, all these different, everyone's got such busy schedules, to actually like put like an event, a wedding or something that's like there where people can all kind of congregate, come together and have like members, because like weddings are great, but like, you know, it's kind of like, they're tough. It's like you got to go there. It's like it's almost you're there to like just show your support.
Yeah, my wedding was a blur. I can't even.
Right. That's like, and this is like, to me, that makes a lot of sense, and it is like it seems like the ultimate. It's got to be cool to have that kind of storyline of it too, where you heard about it, you've been there once, and then to get to do that. Actually,
like, and share it with other people. Like, to me, it's like shared common experiences is like the best. So ridiculous. The best of life.
I was just going through. We had to post this one today. This is one of my favorite photos, man. This was in Petra in Jordan, yes. But like this was just like it was actually where the Indiana Jones, that film, or the probably the most famous scene from Indiana Jones was filmed, and it was just built in, so beautiful. I mean, that would, you know, it's up there. Those are things like you're not going to forget. Like,
no, that was like at the last minute. We're like, let's go to Petra. Yeah. So we like, you know, Israel is not really like, you know, they're very suspicious when you're flying into Jordan and back in one day private. Like, they're like, you know, what's going on? But we got a flight, and then we had to drive to the desert, and remember we were driving for like an hour or two to get there, and Bedouin camps where like people literally just are away from everybody. It's just them in the desert in like kind of like a tent you would never stay in no internet, no nothing, and it's just them chilling and like the people of the desert. And I thought that was really interesting too. Aside from the site, just driving through the desert and seeing the Bedouins just like.
It was crazy, man. There was like an element of danger too, because it was kind of like time with ice, like you're just kind of like in a different
we were fish out of water, like cutting through tourists. I mean, like once you got to the site, I think it was pretty safe. But like we're driving through the highway coming from Israel, not necessarily like the tightest of two countries, and people of different religious backgrounds and different social norms. I remember I was like. To one of the girls, I was like, yo, cover your shoulders. You know what I mean? Like, do not be walking around here shoulders out. Like, you might be insulting somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to.
Like we got to do as the Romans do here, but that we got to do as the Jordanians do here. So it was, that part was like, a little danger, got the adrenaline going, but we have fun, and I learned some things, I saw some things, I did it with my friends, which is really good because when I'm older and I can't remember, you can always remind me.
For sure. What do you think about like longevity and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of if we're in a matrix or not, all that stuff, but like I've had some interesting talks, and even you had a theory, or you were talking about the kind of like the possibility of being on how the earth is or how it's moving. Like, do you feel, it's pretty obvious, like we're evolving, like we're getting better, people are living longer, people are making better decisions, we're learning as we go. Like, do you feel is there that like there's a chance, is there a certain point where we'll live forever, 200, like, or do you think we're in that like kind of, things are happening so fast right now? How do you feel on that type of stuff?
I do think like the lifespan riddle, regenerative riddle will be eventually cracked. I don't know if it'll be during my lifespan. I would hope so, because I would like, there's so many things to do, and the world is so big and beautiful, and also chaotic and unfair, but there's so many things to do, see, help, reach out, that I would like to participate in that and do those things and not have to be like, rushing everything and every experience to do that. So I do think it'll be cracked. I hope it's in my lifetime, but I think it's a favorite to be cracked if we don't destroy ourselves before then. Right.
Yeah, I saw something saying like 1 in 3 children born today, which was a few years ago. I saw this, like, are going to live to 100. And it just seems like things are sort of like, the cool part is like from 1980 to 2000 or like, can happen in like 1 year, 6 months now. Like, there's so much shared information. Things are so quick. It's so like
a lot of things like why people would die and like lifespans were shorter is like no seatbelts, plane accidents, things like that. Like, if you start removing a lot of the like dumb shit like smoking and whatever, you start to expand your lifespan. And then the other things like before you had this problem with your heart, you died. There was no issue. Or you got this infection, you died. Measles and diphtheria and all these things. So like technology has like removed a lot of the things that would like probabilistically
like trivial
kill you out, right? Like there's trivial problems. And so now, organ failure, if you're kind of not nice to your body, the medicine can like repair it and like give you a new heart, fix a heart valve, fix this, fix that, which has been extending period life. But the next crack is like that natural limit on cell division and your telomeres and regeneration. Like, your liver has like so many cell divisions it's going to have, then it's going to have to give out.
Yeah.
And so that, I think like that is the next step.
I like it. Yeah, I don't want to go to the Matrix talk.
We don't go to Matrix,
the whole
whatever.
thing, so we'll keep that there. All right, so book coming, Thirst Lounge 10. You've got a poker. Obviously you play. You like hobby wise. People know that poker is one of your things. What do you think in terms of the future with poker and like playing? Do you see yourself kind of sticking to a similar schedule? Do you want to play some tournament stuff? Like,
I really like to do the WSOP this year. Like, I have not sat through a whole WSOP.
Wow, like a whole one. Like, are you like the
at
main
least
event
a majority of it.
Or like
main
come
event,
for like a chunk.
Yeah, a big chunk of it. Like, to be able to play other events. It's mainly like kids and travel, and it hasn't been a priority. But like, I can't keep putting it off, you know.
Yeah.
I might bite the duck. I might be on the boat and bite a bullet, you know.
At the maybe this summer, because I think there's some interesting schedule. There's some cool stuff. That would be fun to play the main. I can't believe you've not played.
I played a main once, like
time,
Fire,
a long
and
time
I'm like,
ago.
you know,
you were in and out. You were like,
I was in and out.
like,
I can't stay here that long. I'm either gonna have all the chips
or be
out. And I was on my bike.
Yeah, fast.
I was pedaling out fast.
Okay.
So, but I want to be able to play other events and do that. And you know, I would like to play more. You know, less work, more play, more experiences. Given that, you know, I'm writing a book on it, right? I'm on that tail end. Like, it's not like I'm here to delay gratification as much as, you know, you're a younger age, et cetera, to delay gratification.
Do you see, like, is there in your mind? Is there like I guess not really retiring. I don't even see you ever retiring. Like, same thing. I wouldn't envision myself ever like, oh, I'm just like not doing anything. Like, I'm always gonna kind of be involved in projects and fun stuff like that. Or is there a point where you're kind of like, you know what? All right, this is cool. Like, what would you say right now? Your ratio?
Well, I don't know. It's like not even retire. It's like, you know, a lot of people like you know, people go to work. Let's say you're like an insurance salesman or you sell whatever. It's like, I don't think you as a kid or whatever like, hey, I really love selling insurance and I just want to be an insurance guy. Like, you did it to get the money to do other stuff. And what happens is that those other projects, the things that why you got the money, you forget about it. And then you're like, well, I really like my job. And I'm like, well, you don't really like your job. What you like is the people that you talk to, the conversations you have, you know, meeting people, blah, blah, blah. But the act of, like, let's say doing insurance, the actual insurance, that's not what you like. So you need to, you know, I would remove the, you know, if I was an insurance salesman or trader, whatever, move that aspect and make sure I keep the meeting people, taking people that I knew from work out to dinner and staying in contact with them, and then doing the other things I want to do. So it's just really like focusing on what I really want to do, these other projects like ThirstLounge 10. Like, it's like, wow, this is a shot I want to take. Come here and learn this language, play the World Series of Poker, you know, learn about the history of the Mayans or whatever it is, you know, up front, you know, go build a well in Africa or whatever it is that, you know, I settled down on those projects is like dedicate more time to that and less time to like trying to acquire chips for the future.
Exactly. I see my dad in the chat. I want to shout him out. Richard Gross, Bill knows my dad, and this is like a perfect book for you, Dad. I can't wait for you to read this because he's in that zone of just retired, 30 years at Ford, 31 years, whatever, and it's like he's now, you know, he's at that age where it's like, all right, like I've worked, I've grinded, done a lot of stuff, and now I kind of have some free time. But like, it's, you know, it's not what is too old, what's not too old. That's up to yourself.
It's not too old.
No, it's just saying, like, it's exactly. He's not going to go skiing he's not going to go hella skiing probably, or start that now at 65 or whatever, right? So
yeah, well, I mean, if he's going to hella ski, it's going to be now. It's not going to be 10 years from now, right? Like, you know, so all these activities, like you have to really sit down and think about like the arc of your life and like when these activities that you can do and you can't do because you have diminishing returns. Like it's your knees are like very important. Like your whole ability to enjoy everything is from your ability to move, right? First, it's the neurons that fire that allow you to think, and then also fire again against muscles to move you around to experience the world. And so because you're an animate object, you process energy, which we call food, and it produces movement. That's where you get all your enjoyment. So as you age, your ability to move, and you know, whether it's just painful or not, you cannot do it. Right. But as that happens, your enjoyment goes down. And as your mental acuity goes down, your enjoyment goes down, your ability to enjoy these things. So, you know, for a lot of us, you know, I guess we're a younger set, but like when you get to a certain age, the memory of playing something like a sport will be better than playing it. Like if I went out and started playing football with a bunch of people, it might be a little bit of fun, but it'd be a pain in the ass. I get hurt, I twist the ankle, I'd be huffing and puffing. It will not be as enjoyable as when I was in the University of Iowa and in shape and could, you know, run for days and blah, blah, blah. Right now. That's my dad. That's my dad.
Look at this.
That's Dad.
What's that from? Oh,
he was a Hawkeye too.
I knew he went to Iowa. I didn't know he actually played football.
Yeah,
too. Wow.
Yeah. So that was back in, you know, the leather helmet days. So the idea of, you know, there's people out there play baseball, play whatever. It's like the memory of playing it actually is better than actually playing it today, and that happens probably with almost every activity. You know, even sex.
Well, there you go. He'll drop it in. We've got 50 people live on right now. That's a lot for a kind of impromptu, yesterday we mentioned it, podcast. Guys, we appreciate you being here. We were talking about Twitch, talking about the chat. And my dad says poker keeps the mind sharp. I think there's a lot to say with that. It's a fun way to do a game.
It's a fun way to keep your mental acuity going. Is poker, games, and puzzles. There's actually a very good TED Talk on that about how games and video games help you live longer. Especially social ones, right? Like playing games that allow you to interact with other people, being social, that +1 for your life. You know what I mean? Keeping your mental facility sharp, +1 for your life. So poker is one of those games where if you're playing live, it's social and you're having to be sharp, so +2 for your life, you know?
There you go. That's exactly what my dad, I remember when he learned about poker and started playing after I did, and he was like, man, I wish I had this earlier, because it is. It's a fun game. Instead of playing the game, you know, Trouble or Connect 4 or something, like it's a little more fun, a little more excitement, but also very intricate. A lot of levels of it. I know you've been diving a little more into like the more, you know, looking over stuff, reviewing stuff, studying, talking with some of the really, you know, GTO type stuff. It's just always something you could always do more or learn more. It's like crazy. So it's a fun game. Well, if not poker, like what other game? You like backgammon? What other kind of games do you kind of like to play?
Backgammon. I used to play chess, and then now Dan has become a chess addict, so I can't be around him without him saying, let's battle. And so one time I came in and he says, let's play chess. I said, yeah, I play chess. So I played him and I crushed him. And I was like, crush him. He was like, what? I was like, well, I played chess in high school. Yeah. He's like, oh, you're a chess expert. I'm like, Dad, high school was like literally like almost 40 years ago.
Like you know a couple of
things I could play. You know, I know like certain strategy levels, but I have not played. And so Dan went into the freaking lab, came back, and now he can beat me and you know, beat me occasionally, whatever. I crush him still when I like take it seriously, because he takes forever.
Right.
He's such a move, and he's like really wants to win.
That's the thing. That's like the one thing I'd say about chess or backgammon is kind of like a perfect hybrid. Like it's like fun. There's like skill, but it's like you're kind of always firing. Where like it is frustrating to play someone and they're like, yeah, I saw you doing the speed chess with Richard Branson, and I was like, that's cool.
None of those guys can beat me in speed chess.
Right. It's just like, it's a very different dynamic. But when you're sitting there, like, it's fun, but it's like if you're waiting a guy for 4 or 5 minutes to move, you're kind of like, it kind of loses its
play speed chess. Getting the clock out playing speed chess is a lot of fun. It also keeps you sharp.
Yeah.
And they can't beat me in speed chess.
For sure. All right, so cash game or poker? People, I saw some questions about it. We're actually gonna, but I know you have a meeting as well, and I think ours good. Like Bill's guys, don't panic, and girls, don't panic. Bill is gonna be one of those like Joey kind of got somehow like I hadn't started a podcast. Bill's gone on there several times, but Bill's going to be on here many times, so don't worry. We'll have an hour today. There'll be other Bill podcasts, so don't panic if you don't get your question answered, or this is a little shorter. We're gonna crack at some of those questions in a bit. Talk to me about your score and the one drop. How cool is that for you? Because it's like you're playing, it's fun. It's not for you. Poker's a hobby. It's like you're not there trying to grind out a living. You're playing, having fun. You scored, I believe, 3rd or 4th in the one drop 100K.
Yeah, third. I got third.
For 1.9 million or so. What was that experience?
And I also had a big piece of Antonio who came in 4th, so that was a really good score.
I remember you guys were like 1-2 with 4 left.
We won 2, and then I got ace queened and then ace jack out. It's definitely outmatched going into that tournament. There were tons of wizards going in there, and I remember I was almost on my bike, and a pocket 4 survived against I think ace king and ace queen.
Okay.
When I went all in and I tripled up. Then, I had a pair of queens, and, I had gone up and down. I was a roller coaster player, obviously my style back then, being not having all the knowledge, but all the guts.
Look at that focus. Look at that hand.
Yeah.
Focus. There it is right there. That was a 3rd place, and then looks like you went back to back. You were having a pretty 2013. You almost left the trading tour. Natural gas trader. You're going for it for a minute, but I know you don't play a ton.
But I got to a spot, and the funny thing is these things run long, and I actually got fatigued, and Antonio goes, what a crazy call. I was like, I'm already in the money, I'm kind of deep, I miss my daughters, I want to go home. I forget who went all in. I think it was either Berkey or I forget who it was, but they're like all in. I snap call him with like king jack. He has king queen, big a jack, double up, and then after that it was like, okay, now I have to be serious and play all the way to the end. And,
and then you went. I actually remember. I remember being on. I was in another tournament, but we were going over some stuff, talking. I was sweating. I remember the one against Tobias where you had queens and he had aces, and I was on the rail. But you got it in after the flop. You played it really well. You didn't go crazy pre-flop. You were just saw flop, hit the queen top set. I mean, in a green spot, and like you just got it. You got like a huge hand. That was down the stretch.
There was two hands. It was like the hand before that. I also beat Tobias in a big, like took some chips from him in the queens and knocked him out.
For sure. That was just one of those things. But it's like the rush. It's like one of those things. Like what game or thing are you going to do where you're going to be able to win? Like play for $5 million, have a good time, and at a high level and get to the thing.
And the greatest, my kids were like, "Daddy," like they don't know poker, but they just know Daddy's moving up and he's in there. So they were happy.
So that was fun. And it's cool. Yeah. Talk about fatherhood. I see a lot of fathers in here, and I am coming into fatherhood. Is there any kind of someone that I guess I don't want to say the exact same, but I can relate to with like kind of moving? You're very, I know Brees and Sky very well. I know how good a dad you are, how much you show up, and as much as you can, as in like traveling. What's some advice if you would say? Like,
I would say I would say.
Or your experiences that you've learned.
My experiences is like kids need a lot of time. More than you think, and then they don't want to be around you as much, right? Like they get that
there's
piece.
Phases, yeah.
There's phases. So just realize, like when you first go into it, it's like it's you show all the time. Like where's Daddy, where's Mommy? We want to be around them all the time. And then at some point, like preteen years, it becomes their friends, and then it becomes just peer group, right? And so really take advantage of that time to be with them. And so somebody said it, and I kind of agree with it. Like parenthood is not that much fun, but all joy, because it's a lot of like, I gotta go to a meeting, I gotta go to the PTA club, I gotta go see the play where my kid only has one line, or they don't even have a line, they're the tree, but I gotta go sit through it, and the doctor every time, and the so and so, and the discipline, and blah blah blah, X, Y, and Z, but it's a lot of joy. It's constant joy. So it's like not the fun, it's not like fun all the time. There's definitely fun moments and lots of laughter and love and hugs and whatever, but it's a ton of joy. And so there's a difference there.
I'm pulling up my phone here to go to Instagram, guys. And if you can see this, there's an ask a question. You can type a question in there. So I think, Bill, there's a lot. We could talk forever, but I want to get a couple of these questions because it's very interesting. You have the most questions by far in a very short post here. There's a lot.
So let's get them going. Let's fire them up. Let's give the people what they want.
All right. Someone asked, how can I join ThirstLounge 10? Since we're gonna, let me just pull up F6 here.
So we did a contest, and Jeff and Jamie narrowed it down to like a certain group and got it cut down, and we said no, 10 is going to be it, and we got the ThirstLounge 10. So I guess right now it's a waiting game. Either we're going to expand it to 11 if everything's working, or somebody's going to drop out. It is work streaming. It is takes time. One of the 10 may find out that it's not for them, and then we'll be looking for a replacement.
That is what the format looks for the questions, guys. So if we're going to zoom through some of these just so we can, I think it's cool to see how many people are this interested in Bill, of course, which is, he is an interesting cat. He's got a lot going on.
I'm just old. When you get old, you become interesting.
When did you start playing poker? Do you remember what year? What was the first time you ever? Not like at like 20 years old when you like played with a couple buddies. When did you like kind of like say you played and you're like, man, this is fun. I'm going to keep doing this.
I used to play on the exchange floor. Guys used to play. I could not play at all. I just gambled. I was like, whatever. Like wouldn't even really consider anything. It was just like, let me put pressure on people, let me gamble, etc. I think in Houston start playing those games, but I really just as of late said, you know what, let me really study, because everybody's studying now and everybody's getting better and everybody's talking X, Y, and Z and metagame and GTO and solvers, and I was like, I won't have a shot in hell unless I
get in there a little
study.
bit.
So I would say like really playing seriously just recently. Goofing off and playing poker, probably 20 years.
Okay, fair enough. That's very interesting. And someone said, what is your legacy other than family? That's an interesting, kind of heavy question, but like they're deeper. What is there? What would you say for your legacy?
Well, I think like, my legacy, I've behind the scenes and somewhat in the scenes, like kind of made an impact in terms of like getting, when I am not the expert, I tend to like give money to like venture things that make things better, primarily in education, save the children, behind the scenes stuff that like nobody knows, Habitat for Humanity, you know. But I really want my legacy to be, you know, with this book, in everybody optimizing their life and getting the most full life. Mm-hmm. Like I said to someone, I said this on Joey's, and I'll say to you, it's just like, our book is a lifesaver, because I feel that many, many, many people are wasting their lives, right? Like they're on autopilot, they're going to work, they're not trading in for experiences, they're not thinking about their whole life from start to finish, you know?
Yeah.
When you die affects what you do today. Like if you were going to die tomorrow, you know, everybody's heard the question, if you're going to die tomorrow, what would you do? And everybody's got like these run around with a chicken with a head question, whatever. And then they go, well, why aren't you doing this now? Because you're not going to die tomorrow, right? But if you're going to die in 2 days, it would be different. If you're going to die in 3 days, it would be different. If you die in 4 days, 5 days, whatever. You know, most people probably watching probably have like 15,000 days left, or 20,000 days left. And
that's
so,
not a lot when you say it like that.
Yeah, I mean, so when you think about that, like when you die affects, you know, what you do today, and you know, you have to think about it with the end in mind and this arc of what you're going to do. And so, because we don't do that, we're afraid of our own death. We don't like to talk about it, whatever. We live our lives suboptimally according to our own goals. Not my own goals, not my own thing, but like the things you want to do out of life and what you want to get out of life. We don't do it. And so, you know, we spend a lot of money at our end of life. Like if you're going to die, you get hit by a bus and you're 80, and you know, they give you a ventilator and they have all this money and they'll spend millions of dollars for you to stay alive for a couple months in a hospital. And I'm like, you know what? Let's trade those 4 months in a hospital in bed with a low quality life for like memories and interactions with people you love now today, and not waste your life.
I think that's, some people you want to leave your kids stuff, you want to leave, like it's a
that's all part of it,
right? Yeah, that's part of the equation. So I think
that's all part of the equation. I'm
which
not
is
necessarily
probably like
talking
messed
about
up, like where it's people. I think it's exactly. It's like if you could find out of all, if you could like take it and look back on the history of time and how, like if you were to ask people, or like if it, let's say there's an afterlife or whatever, right? And it's like you look that back and like I mean, the amount of people that would probably. It would be very low who said, wow, I did it right, or like I did this the right way, or I would have done it the same.
A lot of people are holding back or on autopilot, one of the two.
Okay.
What's the next question?
All right, great question there. So how can I join ThirstLounge 10? That was basically like you got to just stay tuned, and there's going to be
stay tuned. There may be another slot opening up.
Who was the most magnetic person you ever met? Magnetic, interesting word.
Magnetic, wow.
And also, who's the most interesting human you came across? I mean, that's those are kind of hard, and maybe on the spot. You met a lot of interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I mean, a lot of. I can tell you this. It was definitely at TED, in terms of the most interesting people. Like, you know, TED puts together this conference where they have its ideas festival, and the great thing about TED's is like everybody talks. Like you're not supposed to refuse a meeting. So, you meet guys. Like
I went there with
all
you.
the authors. You went there, your authors, and meeting, and they take a meeting, you get to talk to them, etc. And so there are just so many people doing so many great things, and in these fields, and they're experts. And when they talk, it's just like blows your mind open. And I'm just like, what the fuck have I been doing all my life? You know what I mean? Like even the young kids, I'm like, wait, this guy designed a new sand nuclear reactor, blah, blah, blah. He's 21 or 17 or these G's or whatever. Or somebody who discovered these new fish or this aquatic, or people like, you know, who now are trying to genetically engineer plants to grow their roots deeper, to take the carbon out of the atmosphere as a factor of 20. Like you just meet like people who you're just like, whoa. Like I'm fucking a goofball, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and so there's just tons of them on that in terms of interesting. You know, I've met some characters. You know, it depends on what level. You know, most, you know, to me, Jimmy Carter is like one of, not as a president, you might say he was terrible as a president or whatever. I you know, you agree or disagree, but just as a human being who's doing his best to make a difference in the world, and his integrity is just like, it's just impeccable. Okay. You know what I mean? And just how he lives his life and how he tries to do his best based on his beliefs and his faith is really inspiring to me. And I think he's just like really an interesting human being.
Interesting. I don't know much about.
Yeah, like, you know, he writes books, he works on issues, he's humanitarian, he does what, like, you know, he could just kick it and, like, after being president and chill with his Secret Service agents, etc. But he doesn't, you know, he refused it. He didn't do that. Like, he's like, his faith commands him to do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, wow, I wish I had that level of motivation, work ethic, and integrity as he did.
That's very interesting. See, I wasn't aware of that kind of. That's cool. What was one of your most defining moments in life? I like this question.
I think like there's a bunch, right? Like there's I'll do the one that was like kind of luck, you know?
Yeah, that could be.
And then I'll do the one that was like me making a decision, and which led to other great things. So. When I was in college, I went to school for electrical engineering, and I mainly chased women and played football. We actually sat the bench, but I was on the football team.
I played soccer bench ride too. It's all
I played. And so, you know, the movie Trading Places came out, and I knew I didn't want to be an engineer. Like the IBM and those guys would come in, and I asked a question. I'd be like, well, so if you work for IBM and you have this idea, will you be able to work on a project? I'd be like, no, that's not how it works. You work on a subsection of a chip, or a subsection of a subsection, you have a team leader, whatever, you have this career path and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it was a great salary starting if you got in, you know, one of these engineering firms, etc. But I was like, this is just not for fucking me. Like, that's not the life I want to be. That's not the life I want to lead. Like, that is just like, you know, 9 to 5 and blah, blah, blah. And this movie Wall Street comes out, and I was like, I want to fucking be a stockbroker. I want to be rich. I want to be able to do fun shit, fly around.
That's your rounders.
Yeah, that's my rounders, right? Like, that's my rounders. Like, this is what I want to do. And my godfather called me at the time. He's like, what are you going to do with your life? I said, I think I want to go and trade stocks. And he goes, I know a commodities brokerage firm that, well, whatever. Go see them when you're in New York, whatever, you know, et cetera. And that kind of like, I didn't know what the hell a commodity was.
Right.
But I was like, all right, I'll go check it out. It sounds it sounds like fun. And then so, you know, I wrote up my resume. They wanted to hire somebody else. They like, you know, I waited like 3 days. They hired me, and I was like a peon in the commodities. But I was like, this is awesome. But the
that's huge. I mean, that's crazy.
That was like kind of luck. The door partially cracked open. Me waiting it out and saying I'm gonna get this job as a peon.
Okay.
But I think the biggest thing was me making a decision to move to Houston to trade. So I was like trying to trade, and I became a broker over the counter. And one of my customers was like, hey, we're starting. We're going to get bought out by this company called El Paso. We're East Tex, but we're going to still be the management. They're going to buy our brains, and we want you to come down and run the options desk. Now, I was one of those people who was like, I will never fucking move south of the Mason-Dixon line.
You were in New York City.
I'm in New York City.
You're in the show.
I'm like, I would never move south of the Mason-Dixon line. Like, it was like, yo, don't go south, man. The races, the Klan, especially Texas, blah, blah, blah. Like, I had all these things filled in my head. And I played football with Coach Fry, who was from Texas, who recruited a lot of Texas players. And they were like, yo, Waxahachie. And they were just different type of brothers. You know what I mean? I was just like, and I had relatives in the South. And I was just like, I ain't going, you know, I just had this idea of the South. Like, and plus I'm in New York City. But by that time, I was like, nothing is more important to my dreams. Nothing. And my dream was to be a trader and to be rich. And I was like cutting a deal, and I was like, I got the fuck up, got out of New York City, tell everybody I'm moving. I had nothing but a mattress and a sheet when I came down there, and said, I'll be at work, you know, on this day, and just up and moved. And so I was single, single, right? Like dating around in New York City, having a great time. But I was like, I will go anywhere for the opportunity. And that decision is like the point.
Wow.
The point. Like, I expanded my network. I got into other opportunities. I went the right place chasing my dream. I went to over-the-counter trading. It led to me going to, you know, starting up in Centaurus, you know, blah, 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 hitting home runs there. But like, it was the decision to put my dreams first and move out of my comfort zone, which was New York City, which I love, 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 love. Being single in New York City, there's nothing like it.
That's a big jump, man.
And I just said, I'm out of here. And because I was like, I'll go to Siberia. I'll go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so that was it.
Wow.
Long answer.
I know. Dude, no, man, that's powerful, and I love this because I know somewhat of the story, but I get a little more context always. Like, I didn't realize that's how it all went down. Exactly, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was like, and that's where I also say you're always on interview, because like I was a broker. Like, people like broker, trader, what's the difference? Broker is like the real estate agent. Trader is the person who buys and sells houses. Okay. And so I was like the real estate agent talking to the person who buys and sells houses, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to come and buy and sell houses for us." You know what I mean? And I was like, "Deuces, I am out of the city." Like, grew up on the East Coast my whole damn life. Went to University of Iowa, came back, was a scrub, whatever. Worked my way up in a very comfortable position, making 6 figures as a broker. And I was like, "Peace, I'm out of here."
That's
dream
amazing.
first,
How long did it take for you to realize that was the right decision? Was it like within a week, a month, a year? Looking back, obviously, but
I knew it was the right decision. Period. No matter what happened, if I felt dead skid marks on my face,
so
it was the right decision.
Wasn't results oriented. You made it up.
No.
You made your mind. You were ready to stick with
it was like I was never going to be one of those people that was like, "Wow, I wonder if I'd taken that shot, what I wanted to really do, as opposed to being comfortable here or whatever."
Right.
Like I was like, "Look, I'll wait tables if it doesn't work out. Like, so be it." And I'm a shitty waiter. I can tell you that right now.
What's your favorite quote and why?
Why guess when we can know? I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite quote, but I say it all the time. Like at work or whatever, people will be debating about this. I'm like, why are we guessing when we can know? Let's do the research. Let's ask. Let's run the experiment. Let's do a survey monkey. Let's do whatever. Let's do our best to actually know instead of guessing. And so I say that a lot. Why guess when we can know?
One, my man right here, Brian Glick, BGlick23. Brian, I hope you check out ThirstLounge 10 and support them. Brian Glick gifted over 100 subs to my channel. Super generous guy. Thanks for being in
Brian,
the chat.
what up?
Brian Glick with ThirstLounge 10. Got to show them some love as well in there. He asked, can you remember when you made your first milli?
Yeah, because I confessed to a crime from many years ago. Actually, I don't know if it was the first. Yes, I think I know I wanted to make $1 million before I was 30, and I did it. I don't remember the exact year, exact age, or whatever, but I remember like when I was like 16, 17, I could drive, and I got taught to drive on a stick that my mom's Toyota Celica, and I was with my cousin Louis Thibault. Pete, I'm gonna throw you under the bus, but I actually already confessed, so just so you know. Okay. So he's like, let me drive it, and I was like, man, you know how to drive a stick, so I took him to this lot. Of course, he hit the gas when he's supposed to hit the clutch. The car spins out. It hits like those old telephone poles. Ooh. It has like a brown mark on it and whatever. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm not supposed to let him drive, whatever. So I told my mom with this big scrape mark on it and the trunk was like bent out so it wouldn't open that we parked to go get pizza in Newark. And it looked like maybe a truck must have scraped it. I didn't know because I just straight out lied my ass off. Not confessing. I was in my head. I was like, one of these days, I'm gonna pay my mom back for this car or whatever. Finally, right. And so, she had to pay whatever the deductible is on the insurance. The insurance had to fix it, whatever. And probably the insurance rate went up because she got some fucking 17-year-old kid busting up a car. And obviously, I gave her much, much, much more than that. But I gave her the money and confessed. I said, Ma, I have to tell you this. Remember that time when I hit the car? She was like, it did look weird on the screen.
Oh, she didn't say I knew. I knew it was you. So she really cleared it up.
Yeah. So I had to clear off and be like, yeah, that was me. That was me, Mom. That was me. Letting unlicensed, non-permitted drivers drive the car.
And when you hit a big number, not necessarily $1 million you didn't have it like, oh, if I hit $1 million on the dot, I'm going to do this. Like once you were safe and clear and like things were going well, you handled that.
Yeah. Every time I got a bonus, I gave my mom money. But when I got to $1 million, I remember giving the money and confessing the story.
I like it a lot.
A confessional. There was a confessional.
Someone's at. Oh, there's two. Man, there's a bunch of good ones. I know we are on a little bit of a time crunch here, but someone's asking. There's a few numbers questions. I don't know how much it makes sense to. Someone's asking about how much to rent Necker Island per night. Is that? I mean, that's probably you can.
It's probably out there. You can look. Yeah. I want to tell you the truth. I don't know. I know it was like a package for the week. You rent it. It costs X. I really honestly
guys,
don't know.
When you hit 50 and you don't know, and you're renting out Necker and you're not sure night.
It's a pretty penny.
That's a good spot.
We're talking 6 figures.
I think you answered the question. That was
6 figures. It's up there.
You said enough there. Yeah. Someone said, "What's it like to be a billionaire?" I know it's funny. People call you a billionaire, but you always
I wouldn't know.
clarify.
I wouldn't know. I'm not a billionaire.
Not yet, but he's doing well.
Yeah, I'm still shooting. I don't know if I'll ever get there because there's a certain age at which your net worth shouldn't go up. Like once you get to a certain age, your net worth shouldn't go up because you should be spending that money and converting it into experiences. Like let's just. Obviously, we know if we're 99 years old and we're going to die tomorrow, our net worth shouldn't be going up. We should be spending all our money, right?
Unless you got some kind of just locked in burn that's just.
You still got to spend it and convert it into experience because it's useful. You're just wasting life hours. You should be spending it down. Like your money should be spending down. If it's going up, like you're doing it wrong.
If you got something where you're like actually a billionaire and you're just like gonna earn, all right. I guess I see what you're saying. I'm just trying to say
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where the money comes from or how you get it. You should be spending it down to zero, or else you're just wasting money.
Will you go with this space thing Richard Branson's doing? It looks like it's launching soon. It's about to. Would you? Well, first of all, would you be comfortable? Like I personally, Antonio almost got a free trip into space. He did a magic trick. Richard was about to say, he said it, I have a video, I don't know if you saw Antonio's video. Yeah. He was like, afterward he goes, holy shit, because he was like, if you had waited 10 more seconds, I was going to say, I'll give you a free trip into space. That's what Richard said. And Antonio did the trick, got it right. But like, if Richard said, Jeff, you can go into space, I would say, no thank you. I don't even like heights. I'm not flying into fucking outer space right now. Like, no shot. Like, that seems like a lot to go wrong.
You know,
like,
as a youth, I wanted to be. Damn, that sounds old. When I was younger, I wanted to be an astronaut. That was my dream. As a matter of fact, when I got to Houston and I was driving,
that was another question. So
I was driving to Galveston. We passed NASA on the way, and I cried. Like I cried when we passed it because I really, there was a whole period in my life where I really wanted to be an astronaut. And I was going to go to the Air Force Academy and all this other shit because that's kind of what I wanted to do, but I didn't do it.
Right.
Nowadays, I'm like, I think if I'm sitting on a rocket and just before it's about to take off or whatever and it's all vibrating, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? There's like a 1 in 20 chance of me dying. Like, why am I here?
Yeah,
so I don't know if I still have that same dream.
When you say like, you know what, skydiving, this, that, like one in long shots, but shit could go wrong. But like when you're like, I'm going to like be one of the tests, like early launches into outer space, like even with the rocket like launch, let alone then the space, you get put out, like there's not like a real protocol. Like you get let out. They're like letting you out into space to float around and shit.
I think the odds of a catastrophic failure of the space shuttle program was 1 in 9. They did a backwards analysis of like what were the odds of like a catastrophic failure, and it was like 1 in 9.
Yeah.
And I think you can look on a TED Talk by one of the astronauts who talks about that. He says like he talks about fear and being in space. He also tells a story about how he was on a walk in outer space and all of a sudden he couldn't see, he was blinded. And what happened is that the cleaning solvent for the inside of it had like fallen up, got in his eyes or whatever, but he had been trained like don't panic, do this, blah blah blah, etc. And eventually see. But imagine you're out in space,
that sounds easy, like in a test room,
fucking see.
And you're on the moon and like and you're just blinded. Like
so, I would hate to be up there and something goes wrong. I'll let him go up like a couple thousand times and then see. We got another question coming.
Oh, that's funny. B Glick says I've gifted a Thirst Lounge before. I know you have, bro. I'm saying just come tune in.
I gotta make sure we keep B Glick on radar.
Yeah, this is the dude right here.
What other questions we got for?
I see Ghost of M, JJ Corrado. What's up, boys and girls? Let me just real quick. Let's see here. Any advice for a soon-to-be father and a hardworking salesperson who loves to play poker? So basically, if you're working hard, you're gonna be a dad. You want to play some cards. What would you say?
I would say like get used to playing less cards. Like, I mean, that's my advice. Like, you're going to be about to be father, obviously with your partner. I mean, there's just whatever anybody tells you the time, they're underestimating it.
Okay.
You're really underestimating how much goes into, like, being a father, et cetera. And, life is balancing, like trying to balance your time, et cetera. And I always get it wrong. You just keep moving forward. It's just like, there's going to be error, and you're just trying to get it right. Nobody ever gets it perfectly right. Nobody ever gets fatherhood perfectly right. Don't guilt yourself and shame yourself. Like, it's like, we as parents always be like, oh, they're doing parenting wrong, or, oh, I would do that as a parent, or whatever. Like, it's because we know we're doing it wrong too. And you know what I mean? Like, nobody gets it right. But I would say that time.
Where would you say? I guess that's something I want to ask you.
And be forward thinking for your kid.
Like, is that ever hard though? Like, because it's just, I mean, basically you're taking just bandwidth, and now there's different. You have a son and daughter. Things change. Like, is it ever hard to like say, oh man, like this is happening this trip, but I have that. Like, I'm sure it's hard, but like, do you ever find yourself like, man, should I be playing poker now? Or like, it's almost like I feel like it's like hard to say I'm going to do something that like instead of being with like
it's really hard to do that and find out. Like, obviously you're not going to be with your kid 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, in certain periods of life when they're babies, but like development, that's not good, etc. But it's more often than not you being with them and instilling with them, and that's your time period to be with them. Because trust me, the time will come where they're like, peace, dad, get out of here. No, we don't want you to come. We don't want you to be in the movies with us. We don't want you to be here. And it seems like it's forever away, but then all of a sudden, One day they don't want to sleep in your bed anymore. One day they don't want you to be in the movies. Or one day you're not cool anymore. You're the nerd or cringy guy. And it happens. Like you go from the coolest thing in the world to cringy.
Let's talk on that. Give me like the timeline. You have daughters that are in the teen years now. So like, what is the actual formula-ish? Like, what are the years of like where they're the most? You feel like you need to be the most engaged and are like the premium like child.
You will be allowed and invited into their lives. I think all the way up to like 8, 9.
Okay.
And possibly 10. And then around 11, 12, you start getting pieced out. And then like 13, high school, you're going to get pieced out even more. And how much you get pieced out is, I think, correlated with how much time you spent with them younger. Like, so if you don't spend as much time with them younger, you'll get pieced out more later.
I just want to point this out. This is Bill, where nowadays Instagram, social media is so important. And Bill's getting pieced out. He's got a big following, the blue check mark, and the kids. It's hard to be a cool dad, right? Like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter. I am so cringy to my kids. Like they're like, Dad, you're so cringy.
Oh my god.
Maybe I'm cringy. Whatever.
No.
I used to be the coolest thing.
That's I hear that for every single friend that I talk to.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a superstar. Angelina Jolie was talking about her kids think I'm so nerdy. They watch her old stuff and they think like, geez, mom, like you know what I mean? It's just like you eventually goes away
at that point. And also, forget about that stage, because there are, I'm sure that there's still a lot of. It's obviously beautiful being a parent. There's a lot of experiences and good times. It's not just like you never see them or don't hang out, but like it is. And then also they're just gone. They go to college, and then it's like, all right, like I mean, my parents. I love my parents. I still chat with them, but it's like, I see them a couple times a year. It's not like it's not, it's different. It's not like in American culture, at least. I know Latin. They like some kids live at home until they get married.
They might live in the house and the same thing forever.
But it's so very interesting.
But in our, I would say if you're an American parent, there's a season to your time, and like it drifts away.
I think Bill does have to go here. Literally, right?
I'll give you 10 more minutes.
Eric mentioned this, and I was actually thinking this exact conversation about Reno. We did Streamboat 2 that had to, because of Virgin Islands, the weather got shifted. Finally, we got everyone together in Reno. Bill flew all the way out for one day in Reno, which was pretty crazy, and we had and all the other guys came in there. That was some of the most wild stories I heard, because I didn't even know the exact magnitude. But I mean, can you talk a little bit about like? And again, you're up to you on specifics and numbers. Like with trading, we're talking about a bad day in poker or something, but like in the trading with the swings of a winning or losing. I mean, you can say any numbers or not, but like, can you talk about like kind of dealing with the high and low on like those kind of trading? I mean, like how do you?
Well, like either through like illusion or whatever. Like a poker player, like a professional poker player, like I can wipe out like half my net worth in a day, like very easily, or maybe even all of it. Like I've been under threat for all of it. You know what I mean? At certain points where, to me, like the stress never really bothers me, because I'm like, I live by the sword, I die by the sword. This is the route I chose. I got my health. I'm blessed, right? But what really starts to affect me is like if I get into a situation where I have to shut down, and other people who are, I have employees and people that depend on me. It's not like when you create a business, anybody who's a business owner or starts a business, right? Like it's great, you're making a business, you're making money for yourself, blah, 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 but you're employing people, you're interacting with people, et cetera. All around, they become dependent, and they depend on you, right? They depend on you performing, and when things go wrong for you, it goes wrong for them, right? And maybe you may have the mental mindset or you're fine with the swings, etc., but they may not be, and that stresses me. I mean, we're all big boys and girls, but still, it's still stressful.
Certain people are they're not ready for those.
For me, I've always been like, I've been busted, I can go back. You know what I mean? I don't want to go back. I'm gonna go out like a cat in a bathtub, climbing not to go back. But if I'm back and I land in the water, I'll just chill and just enjoy the ride.
I love it. Maybe we'll take one or two more. Anything else I mean, someone asked about like, how do you vision this next phase of your life? Does it feel like a wake? I mean, it's obviously like people, you don't see 60s, 70s. People aren't throwing bashes really.
No,
like,
this is the last.
This is the last like bash. Like, do you see any? What would you say? Anything now like would change in the near future? Is anything like not just the book that I was zero, but like that you're writing? Just,
I think like
anything that like you're like,
I'm really
getting
getting focused on like what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like a lot of, life is discovery. I always say that. Like, you discover what you want. You don't know what you want. right? It's not like you come out of womb. The only thing you know is like, I want food and I want to be warm and I want mommy, right? But like as you get older, you're introduced to things and you tend to like them and then you tend to want them. But it's because you were introduced to them and you discovered them. That's how you know what you want. And so I'm trying to figure out ways how I'm going to discover what I want for the rest of my life till I hit the grave, and the things I want to do and the things I want to accomplish.
Okay, I mean, there you go. That's let's see. Well, one more. Well, beef or chicken. Bill doesn't eat either.
I don't eat meat,
I'm just looking at the Twitter real quick. Get a couple. So that's that settled. Someone already knows and said none. Someone just also last time. This will be the last question. Someone asked about inspiration. What was the inspiration for Thirst Lounge, and how what was like? Because it's a great name. It's just a great name. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah. It's
thirsty.
kind of funny.
It's like thirst trap or thirst. Like people are thirsty. What made it like? What actually like? How did you?
Yeah,
come up with that?
I think I've told this before, but it's kind of serendipitous. Like I had a girl I was dating at the time, and I had an Instagram growing and put you can look on my Instagram and there's pictures of me doing X, Y, and Z. And she was like, on Instagram, like it's so crazy. Like you guys are setting a thirst trap. I'm like, a thirst trap? What's that? It's like guys post.
Hello. I'm just doing a podcast. Okay.
So like we had a guest come in right now. So hold on. I was going. So my girlfriend was like, "This is a thirst trap. Like the guys post pictures trying to make girls thirsty. The girls post like body shots and ass out whatever, and then try and make the guys thirsty. It's just a thirst trap." And I was like, "What thirst trap? Wow, I don't want to trap anybody. I just want to have them lounge. Like I want to create a thirst lounge. You know what I mean? Like come in, don't be trapped. Like come in, be thirsty, but you can go whatever. I'm not trying to trap you." And so I just had this idea called the Thirst Lounge. You know what I mean? Like, and that is a